Welcome along, one and all, to League of Europe Season 11. This is the 10th round of the championship, coming to you from Spa. The Belgian Grand Prix is what we have on offer here tonight. We have a sprint format for tonight's action as well, which should provide some mental action around this iconic racing circuit. To take through the action tonight, it is, of course, myself, Daka, as per usual, and Jamie, once again, is alongside me in the commentary box. How you doing, man?
Not too bad, thank you, mate. And how are you doing?
Absolutely wonderful, and yes, very excited for the action here. So we are getting into a sprint race, which means the action, we're not going to warm into it. It is straight to the sword for all of these drivers here tonight. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the revised sprint format in League of Europe, this is the second time that we have been running it this season, the first time being in Singapore. The grid order is reversed from the championship order. So that will hopefully give some of the drivers up at the front of the grid, or back of the championship, I should say, to go to the front of the grid and have a chance to shine. I believe it was 88 Chris that won the first sprint race of the season. But I don't believe he is in attendance tonight. I think he is serving a race ban, if I'm not mistaken. So we're immediately getting our way into it. Cars lined up on the grids, and with a different order than usual, Jamie. Hopefully, that's going to provide some rather chaotic action out there.
Those guys at the back will only have about 8 laps to try and make up as many places as they can. How will they approach this race? Will they be very aggressive in this race? Obviously, no pit stops to help them, so it's going to be down to pure pace. How aggressive they're going to be? Because if they risk it all in the sprint race and you make contact with somebody, you could find yourself dropping backwards and starting at the back during the feature race. So be very careful, but at the same time, attacking your way towards the front. We saw in Las Vegas, a brilliant Grand Prix between Russell, Lightbat and Speedcar. Now, three-way battle for first place down to the wire, literally on the final lap at the line, as the gap was only about 1500s as well. So, can Russell get another race win under his belt, try and extend the championship lead? But I believe the lights are underway for the formation lap as you want to go through the tyres.
Yes, indeed. So we do have a prevailing choice, rather unsurprisingly, I suppose, for an 8 lap race at Spa. It is the medium compound, with one very notable exception, of course. The man that has been right up there in the standings all season long, has come very close to victory on numerous occasions, not least in the opening round in Jeddah. He's also got two other second places in Spain and Australia. GR Shadowglow has opted to go for the soft tyres. Of course, he spun out of a potential race victory last time out in Vegas, and opting for the softs, that seems like a rather bold choice, going against the grain. Literally every other driver going the other way here.
Yeah, so he'll be looking to make as many places as he can, try and get a decent start off the line, jump a few into turn one, and let's see where he can go after that. But I think the tyres will last for 8 laps. It is a long track around here, but the tyres will start to fade away towards the end. But hopefully he can hang on, as the rest of them will definitely can make it towards the end of the Grand Prix. I had a sprint race around here in Belgium. I think it was last week or week before. I think I started on the soft compound tyres, but bearing in mind though, I had a red flag, so I missed 2 laps of doing the soft compound tyres, so that could make them go towards the end of the Grand Prix. So I'm not quite sure if they can or not, but let's see if he can manage his tyres towards the end.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a case of being able to take those tires to the end of the race. It's more being competitive for the entire race distance. But watch for Shadowglow and those opening laps. He has got a very crucial task here, with his championship hopes taking a big dent in the last round. At Las Vegas, he's going to want to try and fight his way through. Of course, he has the two men ahead of him in the championship, Verstappen and Russell, starting behind. Frank, Moustache, Nuth, and Cucumber. You may be wondering why those four are at the back of the grid. That is because they have outstanding quali bans, so they essentially have the ban served at this race by being put at the back of this sprint grid. At the front of the grid, we haven't really talked about that. It is Doom from Hazara coming up to the front now. Doom, of course, a former race winner way back in season 1, here in D1. The AlphaTauri man comes to the front of the grid. Of course, hasn't had the season that he would have hoped for. Recently got promoted back from D2. He's been in the points, but unable to make much of an impression. So he lines up first. Hazara, who's had a tumultuous season, alongside him. Let's see who's going to lead it. Coming into Lassoris, and more importantly, probably, into Lecom at the end of the first sector. Keep an eye out for that potential dynamic as we now take shape on the grid. 19 cars raring to go racing here at Spa. And they leave the grid for the Belgian sprint race. From the front, it is Jim. He gets a decent start and he's managing to resist Hazara to the outside. In a turn 1, they slot in 1 and 2. Hazara's going to get squeezed out. Jim runs wide, comes back on track and there's contact. And the AlphaTauri is all over the road. Rejoining Hazara now leads. Look behind in the Aston, tucked into the slipstream. Everyone else filtering through. Down Eau Rouge, then up through Radion then. As now Luke pulls out and draws alongside the race leader. They run side by side to the Camel Street with Gary in tow. Gary trying to split them, trying to get in amongst it. He's using that slipstream, but there's no room at the moment then. As Luke darts to the outside, breaks a little bit later, just managing to hold it. Gary's round to the background there, getting into all sorts of contact. The McLaren rounded down to the back. Luke still leads it from Hazara. Slash in third, a huge break there in the train because Gary, first with Hazara, and then I believe with Slash, getting into contact and going backwards now. He sits right at the rear of the field.
QVR Gary tried to go side by side but lost the rear end, made contact once, then he made contact twice with a side pod of Slash, then ultimately which spun him around. So he's all the way down in 19th place, unfortunately losing 15 positions there. But yeah, Jim unfortunately out of turn 1 just went off the track and gave up about 5-6 places, so he's got a lot of work to do down there. We've got Fleddy's been at 3 places, Sweet Crown's been at 3 places, so good start from Sweet Crown. Jump in the championship leader, who's currently down in 12th, who starts in 50th place there. But hopefully these guys can settle in with Luke leading the race, overtaking Hazara into Les Source, I think it is, or Lecom.
Yeah, that was Lecom then at the end of the first sector split. Keeping an eye, of course, on the championship contenders. It is Slash, though, and Nuth that were the fastest, or I should say the highest gainers from the start. Everyone else running nicely into line as they head to the bus stop chicane for the first time. Nuth is going into war down the back of the field, trying to recover. I think he started right near the back, was probably second to last, behind, only in front of Cucumber, who now still runs 18th. We've got a major battle royale going into Les Source here, near the back of the field then, as Frank tries to fend off Moustache, and also Nuth then, but the Red Bull's able to get out in front. Shadowglow from Russell, that's a battle you got to keep an eye on. Up at the front of the field, Luke holding from Hazara, and it looks like they're trying to run nicely in formation, but everyone else slipstreaming down this Camel Straight. It is one of the great spectacles on the Formula 1 calendar, but it looks as though, aside from that enduring battle down the back of the field now between the two Red Bulls as Moustache loses out, Baki loses out to Moustache, who continues to charge up the field. It's fairly civilised at the front, they're battling at the back, but at the moment everything's still relatively intact, of course minus Gary slipping to the back. But Rocco in 4th is managing to do a good job. He's trying to reel in those top 3 after getting held up behind Gary. He's trying to keep him into contention, but Luke still leads at the front.
Yeah, and also Pease over to Fleddy's turn 1, got a great exit out of the bus stop chicane, was able to get him into 1, then down the straight into the Camel Straight. Fleddy tried to overtake him but couldn't quite do so, so he stays behind Pease for the time being. Pease progresses up into P7 ahead of the IRT driver there, but yeah, these guys just staying in formation for the time being, just biding their time and waiting for the DRS to be activated. Also, the timing towers for Russell and Moustache are out of sync, but hopefully they can sort themselves out very soon. Shadow in P11 there, only gained 2 places on the soft compound tyre. I think he's right behind Sweet Cloud, or about to make a move. Yes, he is, side by side, out of Blanchimon, as we head down the bus stop chicane between those two. Sweet Cloud is the outside line, but Shadow Glow should have more grip on those soft compound tyres. Can he try to stick around the outside, out of the corner? It looks like Shadow Glow does not get the exit he needs, and now he's got Russell over the back of him as we head down towards turn 1. Doom and Peas are fighting there into turn 1. We've got Shadow Glow versus Sweet Cloud into turn 1. Once again, they come out the corner side by side. Sweet Cloud with a bit more battery in his disposal. Are they about to go wheel to wheel into Eau Rouge and Radio? We're about to find out right now as they keep the throttle pinned, and Shadow Glow just stays ahead of Sweet Cloud there. And look at Russell getting a better exit than those two. You can see that Shadow Glow is derated on the straight. Will Russell fancy a chance as Peas goes up the inside of Alp into turn 4 we go. But what a battle there between those guys.
Oh, I love racing here at Spa. Shadow Glow, what a battle with Sweetcrown that was. And yes, side by side, the Rouge Radion, that was spectacular stuff. And of course, he is all eyes in front on the softs, but he's also all eyes behind with the championship leader bearing down on him. Fleddy, Campbell, side by side, heading through Speaker's corner and then up towards Puon. Fleddy has the inside line and Campbell's going to have to back out of that one. And he's going to have to think of another way to find a way through on that Ferrari. So they run currently 8th and 9th with Shadowglow still in behind, but of course, as you mentioned, he was derating down the Kemmel Straight. He's low on battery. He's made a charge on those softs, but already the softs are not quite providing the grip that the mediums are. Look at Russell hounding him, heading through Stavilo. He's all over him then and trying to extend his championship lead. It's points for the top 10, remember, so this is the final points-paying possession as it stands, and they run 10th and 11th still in formation. Verstappen has not gotten away well. I wonder if he's got damage. He slipped right to the rear of the field and losing out to his other two championship rivals as Russell attacks to the outside, onto the bus stop chicane. They make contact on the entry. Can Russell go the long way around? He may be able to. He's got the inside line for the final corner, and Shadowglow squeezed out, nearly turns the Alpine, but ultimately has to cede it, and there are the softs already falling away. He's trying to prove me wrong. He's trying to fight back. Inside, La Source, side by side once again, but Russell's going to have the traction. He has the straighter run, and he has the possession, and I think with a bit more battery, should be able to hold that one. I know we're looking at a battle for 10th and 11th when the field is still close together, but they are two championship rivals, 1 and 3 in the standings for the moment. Under pressure now is Alp, and now down the left hand side is Jim, and down the right hand side is Fleddy. They're going to swap from either side, and up at the front Hazara takes look, heading into Lacombe. Don't know where to look. There's action everywhere. The Haas takes the Aston Martin for the lead, and crucial championship battles raging down there. This is the action we wanted to see, Jamie, in the sprint race. There is action and overtaking and battling everywhere at the moment then, and I'm not sure where to look. Are you?
Man, same here. I'm looking up and down the field there, and also it's only a sprint race as well, so we've got plenty more action going in the feature race. I can't wait to see what happens there, but great battles going on. Hazara in the lead, like you said, ahead of Luke. Slash was looking to overtake Hazara, but backed out of it, and he stays in third place. They just probably waited for the last few laps of the Grand Prix to make his move there, because you don't really want to be first in that DRS train on the last lap. We saw it back in Vegas, but obviously the straight is not long as Vegas is. And look at this battle in the midfield. That's Sweetcar getting swamped by Mustache, and now he's under pressure from Baki. Sweetcar looks like he's struggling there, it seems, in the Mercedes. Just lost the car before Stabilo, and now he's got the Red Bull all over the back of him. So I'm not quite sure Sweetcard has sustained any damage going side by side with any of those guys, but he's got a huge pack of cars right behind him as well. So let's see if any of those cars are willing to pass. He's got enough right behind him too as we head into the bus stop chicane once more. The Red Bull is going to fancy a move up to the inside. Both Red Bulls have been aggressive in this race. Baki and Mustache were fighting earlier on into turn 1, and Baki has to stay behind for the time being of the Mercedes driver there. Sweetcar stays in P30 for the time being. Mustache looking for a move up the inside of turn 1, but can't quite happen, although the Williams does outbrake himself, and now Mustache with massive wheels for the exit. He's trying to go wheel to wheel with him, but can't quite do so. They're both quite low in DRS, as they'll both have DRS at the back of Russell there. Russell is almost out of DRS range of Campbell in front of him. That's his own teammate, but Slash is about to make a move on Luke. They go wheel to wheel, they've got a big overspeed. And Luke makes contact there with Hazara, but he stays in P2, but Hazara does go a bit deep, but QVR Campbell does overtake Al for P9, I think he does, or P8, and Russell stays where he is, and Sweet Crown and Mustache there fighting once again. Mustache gets a great exit out of turn 7 there, looking to overtake the Williams driver on the soft compound tyres, going into the barge, but can't quite make it happen around the outside. A bit of a difficult task to do so indeed, but looks like he's got much more confidence on those medium compound tyres in comparison to the soft. So I don't think the soft compound tyres were a great tyre to start on for Shadow there.
No, I'm with you. I think the tyres are already starting to fall away, and Mustache is hounding the man that has finished second in 3 races throughout this championship and beginning to lose contact with his rival Russell up ahead, who's up behind Alp. He's lost out to Campbell. Campbell now chasing Fleddy in the Ferrari. They are very closely bunched as Cesaro at the front is trying to make a break here, and I'm wondering if Luke maybe picked up some minor damage. Then he did run into the back with a bit of an overspeed heading down the Kemmel Straight. It doesn't look bad, but he did lose a bit of ground, but he's obviously picking much of it back with that slipstream. DRS, of course, will come into play. DRS, by the way, was a big talking point in the last race in Vegas. The drivers have actually been warned by the head steward not to play DRS games that would involve stopping, slamming on the brakes, which is ultimately what caused a very large part in Russell's eventual race victory last week. So the steward doesn't want to see any more of that, and with DRS being so important in this first sector, that's certainly going to change some of the racing dynamics here. Hazara from Luke. Luke was coming under pressure down at the Kemmel Straight last time out. He's not got much battery. Hazara has far more, but still, Luke is going on the offensive with much overspeed, and the Aston Martin's going to move through. But look, my timing screen is lighting up with overtakes. Campbell, Fleddy, into Lecom. Campbell has that one done then, as Russell has gone through on Alp 2. So the Alpine gets in front of the Williams. His teammate behind is Alp going to play the championship, I wonder, with Shadowglow behind, at least trying to get him a point from this sprint race and a place on the grid. We are within the final 3 laps of this sprint race as Alp gets a big slap of oversteer heading out of Rivage. He emerges still in P10, running a bit wide through Speaker's Corner. So several of these drivers on the back of the men in front. It's still so closely contested, but with everyone stacked up in a DRS train, the faster drivers unable to make progress, and it's really been the same 4 or 5 drivers up at the front. They've held on, and it looks like, barring any disasters, that's the group that you're going to see contesting this sprint win.
Indeed it is. It's just a shame that the faster drivers can't progress through the field, but yes, that's the disadvantage of the big old DRS train we always see in every single race ever since the game started and before as well. But looks like Hazara then putting pressure on Luke. He's got a lot of ERS in his disposal to use, where Luke hasn't. You can see him backing off there, just lifting the coasters, trying to save more battery, and both Williams. In fact, Hazara does hit the back of Luke. It was a concertina effect in the bus of chicane as Slash hit him, but looks like both Williams were fighting momentarily. Now, Sweet Car, there's a Ferrari who's ghosted. Not quite sure who that was. I think it was IRT Vladdy who was ghosted going into the bus of chicane, but he's managed to pass Sweet Card and Alps dropped down into 12th place, so he went from 9th to 12th. As down the inside goes the Alfa Romeo of Cucumber, makes contact there with Mustache as he sends him into a slide, and he loses the position as a result. But here we are, up the Kemmel Straight then, up through Eau Rouge and Radion, DRS enabled for Zara. And look at that, we've got a whole bunch of cars ready to pass the spot. Here comes Slash, here comes Azara, Slash backs out of it, here comes Rocco. He might take, that's 3 overtakes into one corner, but does he make the corner? Yes he does, but here comes Azara back around the outside. Rocco Reggie, 4 overtakes, 3 overtakes, Slash on the curb, he makes contact and he's in a spin too. That's a shame there for Slash, but Rocco Reggie came out of nowhere, overtook 3 drivers on one straight, unbelievable.
That might be the overtake of the season. Wow, that was spectacular, and he was so late on the brakes until he was not going to be denied. And look now, he has him in his rearview mirrors. Hazard down to 3rd, but he does have the most battery to use as we look towards the final lap of this race. He may have tried to jump in the train early, but Jim has picked his way past Pease, his teammate, and he's now looking all over the back of the 3 cars in front. It is so close, and the Alpines are right in amongst it as well. Fleddy and Shadowglow have started to fall away there in their own battle royale, as look, has he made a mistake heading out of Paul Fair, and round goes Luke, the Aston is backwards and in the wall. He's going to drop all the way down the field. I didn't see what happened with Luke. Did he lose it on his own there?
Well, the first part out of Stabilo, he was on the curb and he lost the rear end. I think Hazara just tapped his slide a bit. Here comes Yuma around the outside, but Hazara blocks that off immediately. He knows the last lap is coming. He wants to be second. The AlphaTauri Yuma there gets a bad exit out of the final corner, which might lead Pease on. Pease got a lot of ES to use as we head down towards turn 1. Is the AlphaTauri Pease going to send it up the inside? He'll try to, but both AlphaTauris, will they work together though, side by side? It's not going to end well between those two. If they continue going through Eau Rouge and Radion together, they want to be working with to try and get Hazara, but Hazara now in a prime place to overtake Rocco for the lead in this race here on the final lap. Both AlphaTauris getting closer and closer as they use the ERS. Sweet Car picks up a 3-second time penalty, will drop him further down the field as they're quite close, but here comes Hazara. Down into Lecom he goes, lays the brake side by side, bit of contact there, bit of barging going on. Rocco's trying to defend, but he can't do so. He has to concede the place, and here comes Yuma around the outside of Pease, but Pease sticks it there on the inside, and Campbell looking to get involved as well as he makes his way down the inside of the AlphaTauri into a barge. Can he split both AlphaTauris up? Yes he can, so Yuma has lost 2 places there towards Pease and Campbell, but this is a sprint race. You don't want to be risking it all, making contact. And here comes Campbell, gets a good release out of the corner, no name, but doesn't go. Oh, he makes contact! Oh, he makes contact again with the AlphaTauri. He wasn't ghosted, and Yuba lost his wing. So major contacts, major drama going on in this race here. The Alpine Campbell looks like he was about to concede the place, but actually makes contact to back up Pease. I don't think it's nobody's fault. I think Campbell was just late on the brakes there.
Yeah, maybe. That was very, very dramatic. And Doom, very unfortunately, getting caught up in that. He'd driven a great race to that point. Hazara has completely checked out then. He's had a tough season up to this point, but he's well on his way here. And he's gone by 1.5 seconds. That's a big, big margin by Eloise standards. Pease is trying to snatch it from Rocco late at the death. We'll keep an eye out on that one. He looks inside, can't quite find it. Russell is in behind. Good points for him in this race. But Hazara, round the final corner. The Norwegian man is going to come across the line to take the sprint race victory at Spa and pole position for the Grand Prix. Rocco second, Pease in third, then Russell, Shadowglow, Fleddy out. Verstappen ends up in eighth somehow. Mustache, Backy, they were all together over the line. Then Frank, Yum, Sweet Crown, Cucumber from the back of the grid finishes 14th. Gary 15th. Then Nuth, Luke and Slash will be last over the line as he weaves from side to side on intermediate tyres, throwing away that race. Well, with the field so bunched up, I guess the chaos at the end was rather likely to ensue, and Hazara, you'd have to say, the move on Rocco was very, very aggressive, and there was certainly a lot of contact, but at least provisionally, he does have that race win, and very useful points towards his challenge this season.
I'll tell you what, Shadowglow was outside the top 10 on the penultimate lap. Then all of a sudden, with all that contact that was going on, finds himself in 5th place, and wow. I saw him make a move on Fleddy. He was behind Fleddy going into the bus stop chicane. He outbroke himself, but stayed on the track and kept ahead of Fleddy. He got a good exit at the final corner, which was very crucial, as he had Sweet Crown and Fleddy all over the back of him. So what a move there from Shadow. I clipped it to see if I was right, to see if Shadow was defending or attacking. But actually he was attacking, and he went all the way around the outside of Fleddy. So that was a great move, considering it was on the soft compound tyres. But yeah, what a race that was, a sprint race, and it definitely was a sprint indeed, as all the drivers there got involved in some contact. All the drivers at the top of the field, some of them fell to the back and has to pay the consequences now towards the future by starting to the back of the grid.
Yes, indeed. So there is your order then just on the screen. And that is what we'll be taking forward heading into the main race. So Hazara with a last lap move on Rocco. I'm still not over Rocco's triple move down the Camel Straight into Les Combes. That was pretty spectacular stuff. He lines up on the front row of the grid, so we'll see how the rest of the event is going to take shape. We are going to load in. The action doesn't stop, and well, we may get action here tonight because it is raining, Jamie, and quite substantially so.
Yeah, just like the weather in the UK, although it is quite sunny today here at the north of England. But yeah, it is raining here in Belgium, usually is as well. Remember 2021 when it was raining there, but unfortunately we didn't have a race, although it was classed as a race as we only did 2 laps behind a safety car. All it needed was 2 laps to be classified as points. But this could shake things up. I bet those drivers that fought hard in the last stage of the Grand Prix wish they never made contact, because they've got a lot of work to do. It is quite difficult to overtake here in the rain in general, because you're in the dirty air. It's very hard to get a good exit out of the corners as well, especially the bus stop chicane, where you might have a lot of oversteer as well, and a lot of oversteer. Traction, there we go, looking for the word traction. It's very hard to break traction too out of the corners, so we might see a bit of a sliding going on in the high-speed corners. So I can't wait to see how this unfolds, but it might be a chaotic first lap like it was on the last lap in the sprint race.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going colourblind, but I did see Backy's tyres in the pit lane. I swear they were wet tyres, now they are into. So I wonder if there are going to be any disagreements on the tyre to start the race on. The rain does appear to be very, very heavy as everyone lines up on the grid. Of course, the sprint race result does carry over. No, there is no disagreement. Everyone opts for the Greenwald intermediate tyres, and that will be what they are getting the race started out on. So Hazara leads them away on the formation lap. Keeping the tyres in the right temperature window going to be important, and that usual DRS run, well, would be DRS obviously, but that usual slipstreaming run up through Eau Rouge Radion down the Camel Straight, it's going to be much more difficult, because you think of Eau Rouge Radion, right, in the dry, barely even a corner, but when the road starts to get a bit of moisture placed upon it, you start to see drivers, they have to be very careful with the steering, they have to be feathering the throttle, and Spa has several corners like that, corners that you don't even think of in the dry. They become so much more treacherous in the wet.
Oh yeah, indeed. Flat out corners can be a bit of a struggle in the intermediates, but I want to point out the biggest gainers as well from that sprint headed to the feature. Russell started down in 50th place, it's up into 4th. Shadow Glow, we thought it was on the wrong strategy, but thanks to all that chaos that happened on the final few laps of the race, brought him up to P5. Fleddy's also another gainer from 10th to 6th as well. Verstappen started down in, I think it was 14th, and now he's up into 8th place as well. Mustache, he started down in 17th, up into 9th and back into 10th as well. We saw both Red Bulls fighting incredibly hard as well in the race. Now they're starting next to each other again here in the feature race. So it's going to be very interesting. Hazara messaged me before the race saying, "Hello mate, how you doing? It's nice to see you here commentating, as he's a good friend of mine. There's Alpine is willing to get on with things. That is, I think it is Russell going past those guys there, just trying to lead the race and get out of the spray. But yeah, Hazara said he had no practice whatsoever. But he did win the race as well, so that was a mighty job there from Hazara, despite having no practice around a track like this."
Yeah, of course. Well, it is by far the longest track on the calendar, just over 7 kilometers in length. Yeah, Russell is completely taken off here and has decided to run his own pace. So clearly he wants the tyres to be fired up as he runs very wide, heading through Blanchimont, in fact. But he's entirely gapped the rest of the field. I think he's not happy with Hazara, who's going rather steadily up at the front. Of course, he's perfectly entitled to run at whatever pace that he wants to. But Russell was having none of it and has just elected to take his place 4th on the grid, probably some 20-30 seconds before everyone else is going to make it. So that's quite bizarre. He does like to lead formation laps, but generally not to that extent. Hazara just guiding everyone around as the AI is going to take control of the... No, it won't. I forgot about how things run now on the new game. So they are going to run up to the grid now. Pack of 19 drivers, one of them is already settled, and the rest of them now begin to take their places. So Hazara, Rocco, very difficult to judge the traction coming off the line, so watch out for that. We'll see how well these guys are able to manage that throttle pedal on the rather short but still very hectic run up towards La Source. Now we get racing underway. The feature race at Spa now about to go underway, and the lights are out. We're off the grid, and away goes Hazara, but it's not the best of starts. Neither for Rocco, though. Pease was the one that was quickly away. 3rd on the grid. Hazara converts pole position inside. Pease looking for that 2nd place already as they all struggle for traction, heading out of La Source. And look at Russell already coming up alongside Rocco and through on the Mercedes, but that Mercedes is a rocket down the straight. If he can get that fired up, they all left heading through Radion, and Hazara does still lead. Pease in that slipstream trying to claw it back. There's no DRS to be played here, so everyone is going to race flat out all the way. As you can see, Russell looking to the outside, and Pease now attacking Hazara, but Hazara is very late on the brakes, heading into Lake Common, holds on to the race lead. Everyone else filtering through nicely behind them. Verstappen ahead of Alpine, Mustache and the Red Bull trying to duck underneath through Malbadine, losing the rear end. Now has Frank in the Aston Martin scrambling for a way through, looks outside in contact with the Red Bull, who got out of shape mid-corner. They are still wheel to wheel, and Mustache does prevail in that fight. He still runs in 9th place. Jim and Gary are battling it out there as Jim ran wide heading out of Speaker's corner, and the McLaren's going to slot his way through on the inside. Campbell from last on the grid is already 15th. The former D1 champion has Cucumber behind him. They all run nicely in formation. Looks like things are starting to settle down. Hazara holds on to the lead. Pease in the AlphaTauri chasing him down.
If you watch Pease at the start of the Grand Prix, he was parked in an unusual place. It was like Sebastian Vettel back in the 2017 Chinese Grand Prix when it was wet. I think it was a wet start but dry tyres on that occasion, or they were on the inters early in the race. But he was trying to avoid the spray, and it was a lovely start as well. Got a lovely launch and overtook. It was Rocco who started to 4th place as Russell did overtake him for P3 as well. He's got Fleddy all over the back of him, has Rocco Reggie. So let's see if he tries to go down the inside. It would be quite difficult to do so down the inside. There's a Bristol chicane, although he does make slight contact. But all 19 drivers, if I don't put the commentator's curse on, have survived the opening lap on the Grand Prix. Cucumber around the outside, that's a great move on Nuff there to take P16 away. Just plainly went around the outside of him in the Bristol chicane and got him down into turn 1, although the Ferrari driver does brake later. But let's see, he gets a better traction on the corner. Uses the outside line, provides better traction, proven to be my youth, and he stays there in P16. But Pease is right at the back of Hazara, Yes, he is. Side by side already, halfway down the straight there. There's the DRS line, but obviously no DRS because it's where conditions are lap 2. But here we are, wheel to wheel, going down into Lacombe. Let's use the other brakes. They both are, but P is having the outside line. The inside converted. Hazara, but he gets squeezed from the track, does Hazara. Now has the inside line for the next corner. He takes P2 away. But here comes Russell on P's. Will he fancy a move down into a barge? Let's see, the door is open, but he's not going to try and do it unless he gets to a better exit out of here. And it's so close to the two, but Hazara just stays the lead of the Grand Prix. But argy-bargy from those two, but rubber this race, as they say.
Yeah, P's very forceful, and Hazara just kept his foot in it. I think he had every right to in the end, but he may have picked up a warning during that whole process, unfortunately for him. P's relegated to third place, but it looks like Rocco is the one that's struggling a little bit to live with this pace. Fleddy is all over him, as you mentioned, and still stacking up behind Shadowglow, Verstappen, Alp, Moustache, Frag. In fact, I may as well mention every name in the field because it is just that close at the moment, and everyone has managed to stay nicely in contention. No spins, no accidents. Doesn't seem to be much damage, if any, as well. So everyone relatively clean and still very much in contact. It's rare to see a field in the wet that is so bunched up. Russell, though, has second, and he looks very, very motivated. Take that! Oh, as Hazara almost lags off the circuit, at least from my end. Russell almost backing off. He's looking, and of course Pease is in the ascendancy as Russell spins Hazara slightly heading through the bus stop. I think he let the Asper come. Pease has been tagged. And look at that, the AlphaTauri Red. Rocco spears off towards the wall at the final corner, and cars are fanned across the track down the main straight. So more chaos here at Spa, running side by side into last source, 3 abreast through one of the slowest corners on the entire calendar. This can only end in tears, and it does. Frag is squeezed towards the wall, and 4 cars are out. 4 cars are out. Campbell, Yum, Shadowglow, crucially, and Moustache all collected. And the red flag is brought out. Oh my goodness. Wow. You're right, it was reminiscent, I think it was 1998, where we had that horrible start line incident. I haven't seen a red flag in a race that I've commentated on this game. And we reset. That is utterly incredible. And ultimately, Jamie, we have to say, just too many cars fighting for the same piece of tarmac.
It all kicked off down at the bus stop chicane when Russell tagged Hazara, then Pease got tagged by Rocco. Rocco was out of shape, got tagged by another driver, had his own spin, then they went 3 or 4 abreast down into turn 1, and Shadowglow got pinched against the wall and had nowhere to go, and ultimately all of them crashed. There's 5 drivers out in one corner, I believe I saw the graphic was, and that's the first red flag I've ever seen commentated. It's my second time having a red flag in a league race where I was leading it, then a red flag came out, then I had to survive another start. So, yeah, this is very interesting. I've actually never seen a red flag during commentated. The last time I saw a red flag was about 2011 or 2012 when you could easily get one out of there. But here we are then. Let's see how this restart goes. There's 4 drivers who've retired. I'll take you over to you.
Yes, so, from the line, Hazara, Russell, they come off the line now for the second time already on lap 5, and Russell gets a very good lodge. He's up and alongside Hazara already, but can he find the long way round? They go level, side by side through the apex, and the Alpine's going to get squeezed to the outside of the track, and Hazara holds on to the race lead. Verstappen up to third. He was the big beneficiary in that, and he has his championship rival right in front of him. Fleddy and Baki are side by side all the way up Radion, and Fleddy pulls that one off. Baki is run slightly off the circuit. Sweet Crown in the Mercedes tries to take advantage. He somehow managed to avoid damage, but look at this, up in front, Russell, Hazara on the brakes. Hazara brakes much later, and Russell is squeezed out for the second time, and Verstappen in the McLaren gets interested, as does Alp in the Williams. They all run in formation eventually, as Sweet Crown managed to get through Baki, and now Fleddy is looking to the outside but runs wide and has Sweet Crown tucked in underneath, and through goes the Mercedes, heading through Rivage for the 5th time in this race. Everyone running nicely through, no dramas as of yet, but with the field so bunched up, anything can happen. We had 4 cars taken out in one incident, which is something that I didn't think I would see tonight when I geared up to commentate on this race. But Hazara still leads. Russell from Verstappen. Verstappen looks very confident. He always is good in the wet. He won in the wet in Britain earlier on in the season, so he's trying to chase down and claw some points back on Russell. Hazara looking good, and Russell trying to stay with him. Oh, everyone, of course, keeping a good hold of their battery. It's easier to do in the wet. It's still relatively civilized, but I'm not taking anything for granted after that last incident.
So, this red flag, we skipped 2 laps. It's lap 5 out of 22, and also, all these boys have put on a brand new set of intermediate tyres. As you can see, 0 laps, so it's helped to put on a brand new set of inters, but I'm not quite sure if these inters could go towards the end. You can see there Russell outbreaks himself in the first part of the Boston chicane. Looks like Verstappen might take advantage of that going into turn number 1, but Russell stays ahead for the time being then as we head towards the Boston chicane. North and Luke are having a scrap for P11. I think they sort themselves out now, and Luke stays there for P11, and back here, Speedcar's followed down the order. He spun at turn 1 where Hamilton spun at there in 2008, I think it was, when he fighting against Kimi Räikkönen at the time, but stayed in P1. But here's Verstappen, gets a good run out of Rouge and ready on now, use their battery. Here's Verstappen, able to get alongside Russell there as we head down the Camel Straight. I think Russell's applying his battery to try and stay ahead, albeit though, the Mercedes driver does have, the RP driver does have good straight line speed, proven to be in the last few races, and Russell does stay in P2 for the time being. But Gary there, all over the back of Backy, he's going side by side with him into turn 7 we go. Luke picks up a 3-second time penalty. Gary goes up the inside of Backy there, out of the exit, and let's see as they continue their fight down towards Revanche we go. You can see the Ferrari ahead of us. That's Freddy going out wide into that corner there. Very easy to do so. Frank's had the battle with Slash going wheel to wheel. Two different groups going side by side. Backy stays ahead of Gary, and I think Frank's overtaking with Slash, who stays there. Slash, remember in the feature race, who was at the back of the field, sprint race, was at the back of the field, and now he's up to P9, so he's benefited a lot of positions thanks to all those chaos going on in the first opening laps of this race.
Yes, and indeed, you can see Backy as well, struggling to get the nose in heading through Lefania. He's starting to fall away from the group in front. A few splits are starting to occur, and I have to say Russell, I'd say for the first time this season, seems to be struggling for raw pace, and Hazara is gapping him at the moment then. Tyres are all equal.
It's going to be a crash. Oh, that was so close there for Frank being in the wall because QVR Gary lost on the curb. He was sliding all over the place. So Frank was trying to go around the outside, and Gary had a snap of oversteer again. Now they're going side by side into Blanchimon. There's the Ferrari around the outside. Goes off the track though, so he's not able to make the move there. Frank stays at P9, but they were so close, both of them go into the wall there. As you can see, massive oversteer. Another snap there for Frank as the rear brakes lock up. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin there. Luke tries to go over the inside of Pease. Pease looking for a redemption drive. He's have to go to pace Pease, but unfortunately we're taken out, I think, by Rocco, who is down into P13 after he spun as well. And now he's fighting with Luke going into turn number 1 we go. But Hazara seems to be pulling away as Verstappen's keeping Russell under pressure.
Very, very tightly under pressure, and Russell has used a lot of battery too in comparison to the other front runners. Maybe in the way the confidence isn't quite there at the moment. Looking further back in this major scrap for P number 7, and Slash is looking to get on top of it now. He goes to the left of Gary. There's not much space there, but he's managed to find a little lane, but can't quite find it. He's gonna almost run into the back. He does indeed tap the McLaren and got the rears locked up once again. Managed to gather it up. Frank on the back in the Aston Martin. He tags the rear end of the Alfa Romeo, and Nuth is looking around the outside, but he runs out of space on the downhill run heading into Rivage. P's watching and waiting in behind, but they're all stacking up with nowhere to go. Gary holding all these guys back. He's managed to get up the road, but you're seeing now the gaps starting to appear. This is what you'd expect really from a wet race. Finally, the DRS train, or would-be DRS train, is starting to have a couple of notable exitees, but Hazara still running. He's barely used any battery, and in this middle sector he just seems so confident, and no one at the moment could stay with him. Alp looks very strong. He's on the back of Verstappen. He struggled a little in the wet at Silverstone for pace, if I remember right, but he's right in this fight for second at the moment, and I have to say it is a fight for second because Hazara's pace, he said he didn't practice. Of course, we did mention, of course, how strong he was in that sprint race, and here in the feature race in the wet, the championship leader and the dominant force in this year's championship, he does have good straight line speed, so he may be able to pull him back in that first sector, but using a lot of battery and struggling at the moment to live with the Norwegian, who, as it stands right now, is looking on for a double because no one at the moment can match that pace.
Yeah, great stuff from Hazara indeed. I've interviewed him plenty of times in the past, and he does like to run a low downfall setup, so maybe benefits in there in the mid part of the lap, whereas Russell's trying to catch up. He's 1.1 seconds away. He's still got QVR Verstappen and Alp all over the back of him too, so it looks like Russell's having to look behind him rather than forward. So Hazara's got the outright pace to keep those guys at bay for the time being, but the battle for P7 is still intensifying between those guys in the midfield. QVR Gary's got Slash once again all over him. And let's see then, Slash is not able to go up the inside into turn 4 we go into Lacombe. So QVR Gary there later the break stays in P7 for the time being. And they've got Backy in front of him. Backy was struggling. I did notice him outbreaking himself at the Boston chicane, and he lost a lot of time towards Fleddy and ultimately Gary's catching up towards him as well. So it looks like Baki's starting to struggle just a bit in terms of braking there, but still a big train for 7th place downwards. Although it's not a DRS train, it's still very hard to overtake in these wet weather conditions, as once again Hazara's pulling the gap over Russell.
Yeah, and Slash in particular is actually struggling, particularly with the overtake, because he's running very high wings. He had great closing speed on Gary, but as soon as he left the slipstream, he was completely denied, and that straight line speed equalised. So the Alfa Romeo struggling a bit for straight line speed, and without DRS, so difficult to complete an overtake that way when you do have high wings. So now the Alfa Romeo has the McLaren in front, has good pace, but unable to quite utilise it at the moment. Verstappen is closing right up to the back of Russell, and you sense maybe he's going to start getting impatient then. He's very good in the wet himself, and he will want a chance at a race victory then, which would be his 3rd of the season. He closes up to the back of the Alpine. Remember, these two, 1 and 2 in the championship then, and Russell again outbreaks himself, heading in to the bus stop chicane, and Verstappen is all over him. He's tucked underneath the rear wing. He feigns traction and draws level down the main straight. He's getting squeezed to the inside of the track, but he finds the room, and he's going to have that place, surely. Russell runs wide through Las Source and ultimately does not have the pace to fight it. Through goes Verstappen. He runs second, and now he will try and chase down the race leader at the moment then. So Hazara, Verstappen, Russell, that is your top 3. Alps are running in 4th. They've got Fleddy. Baki's trying to come back towards it then, and then there's that P7 train which runs all the way down practically to Luke, right at the rear of the field. Slash once again, he's using that overtake button as Russell fights back actually further up the road of Verstappen, and side by side once again, Russell dives it to the inside, and then Verstappen has to get out of it. So the back goes the McLaren, and up goes the Alpine, but that squabbling is costing them both. There's no DRS relays here in the wet. It is all organic fighting, and that is what's going on in the P7 group as well, because it is P's, it is Nuth, and they are side by side towards Rivage with nothing to choose between them. Pinch to the inside is the Ferrari, round the outside is the AlphaTauri, but he's going to run out of room then, and Nuth is able to fend him off. So 10th, 11th, 12th behind is Sweet Crown in the Mercedes, trying to work his way back in. I think there's a lot of pace and potential in this train, but they're unable to quite use it at the moment then. So they all run in a lane. Gary still holding them all back. Baki's managed to get back past the Fleddy. There doesn't seem to be much pace difference now in the entire field, besides Hazara, who has checked out now to a 3-second advantage. All that battling behind has substantiated that lead at 2.8 seconds, and at the moment only trending one way.
Looks like Hazara has got this in the bag, unless something else happens in this race, whether it gets drier, whether the safety car appears. We're not quite sure. Only 4 drivers out of this race in the space of 2 laps, but Verstappen is all over the back of Russell once again. Let's see as we head down to the Buster chicane. Will Russell break himself? He goes a bit wide. Oh, sorry about that.
Spinning, he got caught up on the outside and locked the rears again, and back goes the Williams, drifting around that final corner. Rear grip has betrayed him, and he slips now down to 6th place and way out of that leading fight. So now it was a trio for P2, now it's a duo, and another small mistake from Russell, and Verstappen ultimately cannot use any pace. He's decided to wait at this time out, not attack into La Source, and try heading into Les Combes, a more favourable move without really any chance of a counter-attack. So here he goes, the McLaren opens it up, as does the Alpine, and here comes the closing speed then. He's on the overtake button. Verstappen draws alongside to the inside of Russell. Can he get it done on the brakes? He brakes very late, but gets caught on the curb, hesitates on the inside of the corner, looks for a switchback now to the outside of Malmedy. Can he find the long way round? He can't quite make it for the moment then. Russell is holding him off towards Rivage. Verstappen on the curb, trying to force it the long way round, but can't quite do it, and Russell holds on to P2. He's struggling for pace, but he's still fighting on then. Fleddy's trying to get to these guys now, and it's looking like a possibility. These guys are fighting, but ultimately fruitlessly at the moment. Russell is doing all he can to hold on to P2, and Verstappen, there's no interest in these two in trying to work together to get the most pace. They are fighting for track position, and at the moment, Jamie, it's costing both of them.
Indeed, because Freddy's catching up, and he's got Baki all over the back of him too, with Alps trying to recover from his mistake. But you can definitely see that Russell is definitely struggling in the mid-sector there. Verstappen's able to get all of the back of him, despite being in his dirty air. Let's see at Stablo how close he can get at the back of Russell. The gap between himself and Hazara is 4.7 seconds away, so it's all eyes on P2, unless Fleddy can try and get himself back in the action. And if Fleddy does catch up, it's going to bring Baki and Alp in contention of the battle for P2, so it should get very interesting as we head towards the Buster chicane. Russell last lap he outbroke himself, and he looks like he's outbroke himself again And Verstappen there, you can see, definitely taking different lines to get the high line over Russell as we exit the Boston chicane. And let's see, Verstappen's not able to get all of the back of Russell. He did have a bit of wheels with himself out of the corner, but Vladdy has gained another 3/10 on Verstappen and Russell too. Verstappen seems to be struggling, Russell seems to be struggling in the braking zone. The gap extends towards 5 seconds now as Verstappen's all over the back of Russell. Russell's got some decent straight line speed, but in terms of cornering speed and braking, that's where he struggles. Look at Orange and Radion, he's struggling again. And Verstappen will be able to get all over the back of Russell, both using ERS in attack and defence, but he turns it off for the time being, not wanting to use all of it. He knows Russell's got some decent straight line speed. Luke's out of the race. Is that going to cause a safety car? Yes, it is going to cause a safety car. That's the exit of Overuge headed into Radion. He's crashed on the outside like Magnussen did back in 2016, and unfortunately for him, that's caused a safety car.
Yeah, that actually does look like a carbon copy of that Magnussen crash. 5 cars now out the race, 14 just left, and the safety car neutralising everything, and Hazara's, what was a 5-second lead, even more than that potentially, by the time it got brought out, it has now been wiped out by this safety car. Now, because of the red flag, it was actually clarified. That did count as a pit stop to be served. Cucumber has already done his second stop, so I wonder how this safety car is going to impact his race. Maybe he'll just follow everyone else in, which I fully expect everyone will do. I think we'll see a very busy pit lane at the moment, which isn't going to badly affect anyone except for Rocco, who runs 13th, but he's not actually going to lose any track position because Cucumber is oh so far behind, so doesn't look like we'll get much. Maybe Gary will lose out stacking behind Verstappen. It's hard to say at this point, but Hazara, well, it does, on the face of it, it does seem like a bit of a blow, but not seeing any changes in the conditions. The rain's still petering down at the moment. The lead will be wiped out, but unless Russell can snatch back that lead on the restart, there's no reason why he can't pull away again, as he has already done.
Yeah, indeed. And you know what, Dan? I've actually forgotten all about the 2 pit stop rule. So thank God you mentioned that, because I was actually I was thinking about what do you mean by 2 stops. But now I remember, as Hazara, obviously every single driver will put into the pit stops. You are allowed to pit under the safety car. Oh, Russell stays out there, so that's going to be very interesting. I think the rest of them are diving in, but Russell has opted to take track position, and there's a Williams in the background. Is that out? Is that a McLaren of Gary stayed out too? So that's going to be very interesting. Frank's retired in the pit lane entry, I think it is. Has he crashed in the pit lane entry? I can't see him. Yes, he has. He's crashed at the pit lane entry on board with Cucumber, if the car's still there. But it's gone now. But he's done a Kimi Raikkonen, unfortunately. Yeah, you can see the debris on the outside of the MSC advertising board. He's crashed at the pit lane entry, so he's out of the race. Bizarre crash, but he does catch people out.
A bizarre crash, and that is a very tricky pit lane entry indeed, very narrow, so it is a possibility. Now we're down to 13 drivers in this race. I'm not sure what the least cars we've had finished this season, but this has got to be up there. What else is bizarre for me is the strategies of the guys now occupying the top 3 positions. Even Cucumber at the very back, who had tyres a couple laps old, he's decided to put fresh inters on. So unless it's safety car goal hanging, I can't really see the benefit of this strategy, can you?
The only way I could see it changing ways if it does dry up. But obviously, look at the conditions, it's not going to dry up, is it, anytime soon? It's still raining out there, so I'm not quite sure what the advantage there for Russell is, other than track position, but he's going to be hunted down by Hazara and Verstappen on fresher tyres. You did say that the red flag rule is counted at 1 stop, did you?
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not quite sure how is this going to play into Russell's hands unless another safety car comes out of course, but we'll see how it all plans out. He knows what he's doing, and we'll see if his strategy is right towards the end of the Grand Prix. The safety car has definitely cost him before, back in the Australian Grand Prix, when the 3rd safety car came out. It was a disadvantage because he wasn't able to pit as he passed the pit lane entry. As he passed the pit lane entrance, the safety car was deployed, and he caught the safety car, so he wasn't able to pit. Otherwise, he'd lose a lot of track position there. But we'll see how his strategy plays out. Hazara, his formidable pace at the start, should have no problem flying past Gary, Alp, and Russell, considering the brand new set of the intermediate tyres then. So Cucumber has caught up to the back of this pack, and it's funny because Frank, we've got a joke about him crashing the pit lane entry. So I think IRT are definitely going to have fun with that one too.
Maybe they will. Yeah, I think the only advantage I can see from these top 3 is potentially that it could dry up. That is the only real plausible way I can explain what these guys are doing. Perhaps the forecast did have it as drying up relatively soon. It's not showing any signs of that right now. Do they pit this lap? No, they do not, apart from Gary, who does actually have damage. So he goes into the pit lane rather predictably. Gary was probably trying to avoid stacking behind his teammate, but I don't think it's going to change much. He will just go to the back of the grid, albeit with 1 lap fresher tyres. So that might be the wisdom of the McLaren, the Irishman strategy. So he goes in. Inters will, of course, go on, and he'll look to try and recover all he can from P13 and last at the moment. So we should get back to racing at the end of this lap, and for Russell and Alp, it's eyes to the back, it must be said, because Hazara, well, he does have an obstacle to overcome here. Of course, Verstappen and Fleddy, we'll see what they can do without being held up by Russell. Whether Verstappen in the McLaren could hold up with Hazara in the Haas. And if these guys could potentially make early moves on Russell and Alp, it would all set things up very nicely. If Hazara can maybe get those cars in between himself and Verstappen, that would lend itself very nicely to a potential victory. We will see. It's still relatively early days. We're only just past half distance, thanks to the wet conditions, the red flag, and the safety car now. So the race time's going to be relatively long as Gary gets back to the back of the field. So Russell from Alp. Russell again will control another safety car restart. I'm not sure why he's driving up alongside the safety car. But again, that is my theory, that these guys are expecting the track to dry out and are trying to save a pit stop by staying out on these inters.
Yeah, that's probably the only explanation for that one. Indeed, he was hoping for more drivers possibly to stay out too, following him, but only 2 drivers stay out there. There's only 1 driver between himself and Hazara, so we quite, I think Hazara, we're all over the back of it in no time. I think the safety car should come in towards the end of this lap, and we'll see some race action again. We did see back at Vegas, I think Australia too, where we saw drivers on older tyres be a bit of a nuisance between drivers on new tyres, because we saw them come into contact and lose a lot of time towards their rivals themselves. So, but there's only 2 drivers out in front that stayed out there on older tyres. I think the safety car now towards the end of the middle sector should come in, and Russell will lead the pack away again. So over to you, Dan.
Okay, let's get things going. Alp is sitting almost alongside Russell, who looks to control this restart. He likes to run a slow pace. Of course, the entire field, I think, has gotten quite familiar with his restarts. He has led so many of them. The safety car careering away, just coming out of Blanchimont. These guys aren't there yet. They're just coming through Curve Paul Frere, so we still have a lot of time for Russell to control this. Is he going to leave it late? He is, of course, going to be mainly worried about opening up that gap early so he doesn't get slipstreamed on the run towards Les Combes. That is what he's going to be watching. The safety car is in. He can go at any time. He's dragging the brake pedal still, gets off the brake and back onto it. Alp is still watching and waiting in behind, looking to react quickly, looking to respond well in the Williams. He hasn't gone yet. He still waits. Does he go before the bus stop? He's still rolling his way up towards the final complex on this circuit. Alp sitting very, very close as the field slows to a crawl down to about 60-70 kilometers an hour. Watch Russell now as we head towards the bus stop chicane. He takes a wide entry line. Is he going to straighten up the car and floor it? He still waits. He takes another wide line, and now he applies the throttle with a bit of oversteer, and he's managed to gap Alp straight away. Hazara's on the attack. Hazara with a great start. He draws level with Alp, heading it towards the first corner. Lassource, can he make it stick? He was hesitant on the brakes, then dives into the apex, and Alp with less grip runs out wide, and Hazara, he has put a car between himself and Verstappen. He has P2, and he chases on to Russell now. Everyone else nice and clean, heading through the opening couple of corners. You can see the lack of grip though from the Williams of Alp, and Verstappen trying to stay with Hazara, trying to go on the offensive early. He looks left and right, the sides on the right hand side towards Les Combes. Can he be later on the brakes? He's much later on the brakes. He gets it stopped, mounts the curb as Alp is all over the road and off the road. In fact, the Williams rejoins but loses out to the McLaren, and now it's Fleddy in the Ferrari who gets through, and Alp is getting swapped alongside him now. Baki, Red Bull, side by side. Rivage, can he get this one done? Yes, he can, and Alp just doesn't have any grip whatsoever. Slash has gone through. He's losing positions hand over fist here, and Alp cannot stay afloat amongst the race leaders as Hazara looks onto the back of Russell. These new enters have so much more grip, so much more speed, so much more pace. He goes to the outside towards Lefania. Can he get this one done? done. Can he be later on the bricks? He's round the outside and Hazara leads. Hazara in the Haas has the race lead at Spa. He's managed to gap Verstappen once again. Russell cannot hold him off on older tyres. Verstappen has to take Russell quickly, or Hazara in the Haas is going to disappear right up the road. Verstappen is right there with him. Can he get the move done?
And also P's being stuck behind Alp, who's essentially now a roadblock as Sweetcloud. I think the time's to back up P's now. P's go wheel to wheel with the Williams. I think Sweetcloud's boxed in there. Be very careful not to make contact. It's easy to do so, but Sweetcloud side by side there with P's, who's, I think he got pushed off the track there by the Williams as we go into the Boston chicane. And P's up the inside there, almost making 3 abreast. Look at these pictures, incredible. Sweetcloud has been tagged by the Alfa Romeo. He's been tagged by his teammate. And once again, Sweetcloud has been spun again, unfortunately, in this race. So this race is not going well whatsoever. But here comes Verstappen on George Russell. Look at Fleddy up the inside. Outbroke himself. I didn't mean to say George Russell there, but Russell himself. But here we are. Our turn 1 we go. Looks like Verstappen maintains third place, fighting with Russell. He got put out of shape thanks to Fleddy hitting the back of the McLaren driver. But here we are. Our Eau Rouge and Radion should be an easy move for Verstappen this time round. Overtaking Russell there. He's got to keep an eye on him as well. He's got to keep an eye on Fleddy right behind. He might make a move too. Here we are. 3 drivers overtaking 1 as we go into Le Combe. Verstappen up the inside there, but Russell sticks it on the outside. Great defended indeed there, becoming a roadblock, and Hazara once again is able to pull away. Verstappen, despite being on better tyres, here comes Bacchi now on Fleddy. And they go 2 groups, wheel to wheel, into Rivage we go. Verstappen is trying to go around the outside of Russell. He should be able to do so with those fresher tyres. He still can't do it. He's still there as Russell. He's still around the outside. What a lovely defence there from Russell. What a massive headache too for Verstappen, sorry, because Russell now has given a gap to Hazara for 4 seconds. That's his championship leader. Does not want to give him any more points than he can. He's probably helping Hazara so Verstappen doesn't get as many points in the championship by finishing first place. Now Verstappen around the outside again. Should have the move done unless Russell comes back on him. And here goes Bacchi up the inside of Russell too. So Russell's lost 2 places there in the Fantasy chicane. But he puts up a mighty defence there. And here comes Fleddy too for good measure. Fleddy is trying to overtake Russell but not able to do so. He lost her position towards Bacchi. And here we are onto this short straight. We go the back straight. Slash looking interested too. Here comes Fleddy. Out drags the LP driver. Puts himself back into 4th place. And he'll be trying to reclaim 3rd place off of Bacchi. Now Slash is all over the back of Russell too. Probably regretted not pitting. He lets 2 drivers go because he knows he's on all the tyres. So he doesn't want to make contact with those guys behind. And let's see if he peels off as the pit lane he should do, because he's definitely losing out. He's dropping like a stone. Same with out there down in P11 now, as Rocky has overtaken him too. But Hazara, thanks to that defence from Russell, has managed to pull out a 4-second gap in the space of 2 or 3 laps under a safety car.
They lost 2 seconds in the second sector of the last lap alone then, and Russell's lengthy defence of Verstappen may have sealed things for Hazara. He's got a very, very healthy lead with just 8.5 laps to go. It's still an awful long way here at Spa. Still seems to be many laps left. Fleddy and Bacchi now are fighting it out. Fleddy looking to get revenge on the Red Bull driver, who hangs it round the outside of Le Combe and tries to fend off that 3rd place. They're still side by side through Malmedy at the highest point of the track, and watch for Slash, who's in behind too. Can't quite get the run though, and Bacchi has P3 now. On to the podium is the Red Bull man, looking for maybe his best showing of the entire season. He now runs P3. Cucumber and Russell are now battling. Cucumber does have a time penalty, but he does have the place on Russell, who just has nothing to fight with. It was really a disastrous call to go to the pit lane. He still has another stop to make, and right now I am struggling to see exactly why he decided to stay out. So he drops well down the order, now runs 9th, and he's giving up plenty of points. And Verstappen, well, the defence against Verstappen may have given Hazara a clear run at the win and put it out of reach for Verstappen, barring any mistakes for the race leading Haas. It is a decent point swing the McLaren man's way, and Russell's championship lead may well get cut into here. Verstappen is gapped Bacchi and Fleddy after their battling, so for the first time in this race, the McLaren man, the 2nd place man in the championship, has clean air, and he can run his own pace and try and keep the cars behind it bay.
Indeed, Freddy's got a lot of overspeed on that Red Bull onto Blanchimon as well. It's without using any battery, he caught up to him at a rate of knots, and let's see then if he overtakes him down into Le Combe. This is La Source into turn 1, and we saw that big crash in 2012 with Remo Grosjean, Hamilton, Kobayashi, and Alonso too down there. But here we are at the exit of turn one. Very crucial as well for Fleddy because he's got Slash all over the back of him too, so he needs to look behind him and attack at the same time to make our way down towards Eau Rouge and Radion. Has Fleddy got the straight line speed to try and overtake the Red Bull? He gained him a lot into Blanchimon, but let's see if he does go in down into Lacombe. Gary sets the fastest lap, but he's gaining. He's not close enough though to make a move going down into Lacombe. Stays P4 for the time being, looking for revenge after Baki took advantage of him. Go wheel to wheel into this corner here, where Baki got the move done. So the battle for P3 is not over yet between those two. Let's see which one of those two, or Slash, can get himself back in the podium, because remember, at the sprint race where I think he crashed or spun out, started at the back of the field, and now he's up to P5, so this could be a redemption drive for Slash. He did start down in P18, now up into P5, looking to fight for a podium.
He's right in the mix, indeed, and now has Fleddy and the Ferrari up in front of him. We'll see if he can take advantage, but he is running very, very high wings, I believe, as is Baki in third place. So Fleddy has that straight line speed edge, as you said. Of course, the downside of that is through this section, the middle sector, as they run downhill from the top at Malmedy down towards the lowest point of the circuit, around about here at Stavolo, and the gap to Baki balloons to 1 second. So Fleddy's going to have to pull that one back. Of course, he's going to have to watch out for Slash too. Pease is running behind there, Nuth, Cucumber, then a bit of a gap back to Rocco. Russell has been distanced, then Sweet Crown, Alp and Gary. That is the field. Gary, I do believe, has served 3 pit stops, so one more than he did need to, of course, with that pit stop for damage. And then he's pitted once again after the safety car. So a very, very dramatic race for Gary, and he runs a long way adrift of the pack in front of him, but maybe will benefit as Slash and Pease are battling it out now, and the AlphaTauri gets completely monstered though on traction by the Alfa Romeo. Nuth will get interested as well as they all begin to queue up behind Fleddy. Fleddy did not have a good last lap, and so now he is coming under pressure. Pease from Nuth. Nuth is trying to take advantage. He's got lots of battery to use as the Ferrari man, and he's going to go to the left, heading towards Lecom. So close, almost touching, and they do touch on the approach, and still they battle, still they fight, but Nuth runs out of grip and has to take to the outside of the track. Then he will rejoin in the same spot, unable to complete that move. Pease gave him the squeezing treatment, and there was a bit of contact, and Cucumber takes advantage. He now runs 7th then, slotting his way in front of the Ferrari man, so he drops back from that train, which is still led by Fleddy. Baki trying to get to him, Verstappen kind of maintaining pace up in front of them. Hazara's lead, he's slowly extending it still, and really has very little pressure. We're inside the final 5 laps into the final stages here at Spa, and at the moment the most critical battle after grandstand finishes in the last few races, and indeed in most of the races we've had this season. We now look at a battle for a slightly less possession as Fleddy holds a large train behind him.
And guess what? It's started raining too, so I think it could be a bit late to put on the soft compound tyres. I'm not quite sure. Lap 18 out of 22, but yeah, it's going to be very dry towards the end of the race. I'm not quite sure if it's going to be bone dry in lap 21 or 22, so we'll see. But I was on board with Fleddy on at turn 1 on the last lap, and he got tapped by Pease. I think Pease was defending from Slash for the time being at the time, and got tapped to the back of him too while I was trying to defend, so got put out of shape, and ultimately lost a lot of time towards Baki because the gap is 1.2. But in the pit lane comes Nuth now, so does he think that the conditions are best for the drives? Here comes Russell in the pit lane. Was he waiting for that period? Was it a bit too late for him? I'm not quite sure, but this should be interesting now. Will the softs be the best tyres for the last few laps of the Grand Prix? There's still a bit of spray, and DRS been enabled.
Is the track progressing quicker than we may have expected then? There may well be one more twist in the tail here at Spa. This race is far from over. Nuth is going to emerge a couple of seconds, actually 13 seconds shy of Sweet Crown. I cannot look away from the on-track battles though as Fleddy fends off Slash heading through Lecom. We'll see if we see more pit stops. Is anyone going to get it wrong? The track seems to be trying remarkably quickly, but is it time for slicks just yet? That gap, Sweet Crown to Nuth, is the part of the timing screen you are going to have to divert your eyes to. We will see if the gap is going to hold. Is it going to extend? Is it going to come down? It looks on board with Nuth as Cucumber picks up another penalty. It doesn't look, at the very least, like the softs are any slower. The track has dried, Jamie, remarkably quickly, and on board with Nuth, there's water on the curves, but the track itself looks bone dry already.
Yeah, the gap was 27 seconds, and now it's 25.6. for Hazara to Nuth. So the dry compound tyres are definitely faster. All these drivers on the inters will definitely have to pit, otherwise they'll lose a lot of time. Look at that, 24.8 seconds now. So he's gaining rapidly on those soft compound tyres. How many positions is Nuth going to make? Did he make the right call at the right time? The answer is yes. So how many positions is he going to make up after these guys are going to pit? Because he's getting a lot of time already. It's down to 23 seconds now. So already almost 2 seconds gained on one lap alone. So we could find Nuth up the order after that.
Verstappen stays out.
Very interesting indeed. So I think he's going towards the end of the Grand Prix. So is... Oh, they're all going into pit lane anyway. So Verstappen has stayed out there and he's risking it. Is that the best call though? We're about to find out. With 3 laps left to go, can those guys going to gain their time back? Speakfire stayed out there too. Probably got nothing to lose. That's why he's still out there.
Yes, so now we have a potential grandstand finish in order here. The race is not over. There are 3 laps left. Hazara emerges. The gap to Verstappen, that's the critical one. It is going to sit around about 13 seconds. That gap is going to come down rapidly. Make no mistake. DRS is now enabled. And all of a sudden, we have slick racing. Did not see that one coming. And the order has been shaken up. Russell managed to gain. Nuth jumped all the way up to 4th on the road and 2nd out of the drivers that made their pit stops. So we did get one last twist in the tail, and you'd say that strategy call from Russell and Al may well have looked very, very smart if the rain came just a couple laps earlier. You can see them still battling. Fleddy picks up a penalty, but he did take backy. Russell moved through on Slash as well, so he now runs 7th, and you suspect his dry pace is going to be an awful lot better than his wet pace, so he is going to go on the charge and try and make up for the possessions lost earlier on with that strategy. Keeping an eye out, Hazara's already gained 2 seconds on Verstappen. He's got much more pace, and as the conditions continue to evolve and as the enters continue to get strained, the tyre temperatures are going to spike, and those enters are going to become much, much harder to control. You can't pit now if you're Verstappen or Sweet Crown. You just have to bear it and try and stay on. But at the rate that Hazara is catching Verstappen, I'd have to say there isn't a great deal in it, but I'd say the rate of catching is quick enough. The only potential variable is the man just in front of him. He catches Sweet Crown rapidly, but can he get away past quickly and cleanly to continue his charge towards the race-leading McLaren?
I definitely think he can catch Verstappen, despite it's in the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but Hazara is gaining massively. It should be an easy overtake. There's no need to be stuck behind Sweet Crown, which he doesn't do, and now Hazara's up into P2. So the gap is now 7.8. With 2 laps to go, he should definitely overtake him, as Russell says the fast lap of the Grand Prix. Yeah, there's no way Verstappen can pit, otherwise he'll fall all the way down into about 12th place, and behind the championship rival George Russell in P7 there, who's fighting with Baki, as Fleddy did pick up a penalty as well, fighting side by side with Baki. I noticed Fleddy a few laps ago, he did exceed time limits out of who I think it was. That's one of the reasons why he picked up a warning there, or penalty must be said. So Russell will move up a place if he could stick within 3 seconds of Fleddy, but the gap is 6.4 already in one sector, bringing the gap down dramatically. So I don't know if the rest of the guys are going to catch Verstappen, because those tyres will be overheated. Those soft compound tyres will be an absolute joy to drive on, and nightmare for Verstappen to drive on those intermediates. So I'm not quite sure if other people are going to catch Verstappen.
It must be a bit of a culture shock, though, for the drivers that are on the softs. Having grip all of a sudden must be rather shocking. We're going to have to keep an eye on the race-leading battle, but I'm not sure it's going to be much of a battle. It was bold from Verstappen, but ultimately it may cost him. Nuth moves up into P3, and Nuth, who gambled by pitting early, just as the rain started to stop, look at the rewards. He now runs P3 and has got a great chance at getting P2 in this race now, as Verstappen's speed continues to fall away. We'll see if Verstappen can hold off that raging inferno of cars behind him. Sweet Crown, you'd imagine, is going to get swamped here. Not going to have much of a fighting chance, but many of those cars do have penalties, so we will see. Gap 1.4 as we head up towards the final lap of the race, and Verstappen, well, I think he will know that this is a mere formality at this point. Hazara as well, he's got loads of time, 4.5 seconds to the man behind it is Nuth, so it should be a relatively straightforward move. He doesn't have to take any risks. Nevertheless, he draws alongside, heading out of last source, and Verstappen is out of the way. Nothing the McLaren man can do. He will have DRS, but I'm not sure he's even going to try and fight it back. There would be no point. He's just going to get outbraked. So away goes Hazara, on the way to a dominant double victory and a load of points, as behind everyone is swamping Sweet Crown. There's nothing he can do to hold everyone back. Behind, Baki attacks Fleddy to the outside. He is going to snatch up that 4th place on the road and try and establish a gap because he now has a penalty. So he's going to work his way in front, but Russell may grab some good points. He's got Pisa behind, who tries to fend off Slash. Sweet Crown continues to go backwards. He's now at the back of the train. So on we go with Hazara still leading by 2.5 seconds, and the real story now is how well can Verstappen hold on. I think Nuth is going to get through, but everyone else behind that may be another matter. But further back, Sweet Crown is off the road as he battles away with Slash. They head into Puon, and well, Sweet Crown had to get out of that one. There he goes, as Russell gets in front of Fleddy. So back goes the Ferrari. There is action everywhere on this final lap. Nuth now up behind Verstappen. That battle for P2, well, I think Nuth should be able to see this one through for what will be by far his best result of the season. He goes to the left-hand side. It's going to be a drag race towards Blodshimon, but I think Verstappen will know that he cannot fight that one, but still, he may well see through a P3. Let's cut in front, though, to Azara, who, from beginning to end, has just been a cut above the rest. Hazara, the Norwegian, has the race win in Spa, and the Belgian Grand Prix goes to the Haas driver. Nuth will come over the line for a superb 2nd place. What a strategy call. Verstappen holds on for 3rd, but does not get the points advantage over Russell that he was looking for, as Russell comes through at P4 from P's P5. Penalties shaking up the order as Baki comes through 6th from Fleddy, Alp, Slash, Rocco rounds at the top 10. It is going to be Sweet Crown, Cucumber, and Gary will be the last driver over the line. Well, that was a rather, I would say, bizarre ending to the race with a superbly quick turnaround of the conditions. It is, you never think it was raining just 5 minutes ago. The conditions are wonderful now, but Azara taking the win, and you'd have to say, Jamie, that there was no driver that could live with him today.
Oh, definitely not. That's the Hazara I know, because last 2 races I've been here, he's been at the back, but Hazara then showed his what he could do and his true pace as well. Even though he hasn't practiced here, what a phenomenal job indeed from the Norwegian driver too. Split race and the feature race, we had a red flag too in the feature race, so yeah, that's how much it tells you how much it's been chaos as well. But Verstappen, finishing P2, despite being in the back of the DRS train on lap 19. That undercut really helped to catapult through the order, got him up to P2 in the end as well, because the battle for P3 was between Fleddy and Baki and Russell too, but those guys pissed with a penalty, and Noose undercut worked in favours for him as he finished in P2 at the end. So great drive considering he started down in P18.
Fantastic. That strategy call. It takes a lot to. It's actually, for some reason in the background, it's now raining again. It certainly isn't doing that. It certainly wasn't at the end of the race. But yeah, Nuth snatching away P2 from Verstappen in the end. And yes, pitting a lap earlier, gambling. As soon as the rain stopped, he was in. And he was rewarded with that 2nd place finish. Very good stuff for him. Ultimately, because of the results of the sprint race to go on top of it, Russell is actually going to extend that championship lead to Verstappen. And obviously, with Shadowglow getting caught up in that massive accident which brought out the red flag earlier on in the race, it means that despite not having the race he maybe wanted, Russell is a major step closer to that championship. Verstappen did pick up a couple of points in that feature race, but the sprint race cancelled that out. So even though Verstappen, well, he provided a lot of entertainment with that strategy call, it may have cost him just slightly, and the championship charge looks even steeper now with just 4 races left.
Yeah, it looks like in the end it favoured Russell. He only finished 1 place behind Verstappen, considering his pit stop call, or he decided to stay out there under the safety car. So, yeah, I didn't lose too many positions, and he definitely gained a lot of positions due to those guys picking up penalties, which definitely helped him at the end. Shame for Baki there. He was so close to the back of Verstappen towards the end of the Grand Prix, but just fought with Fleddy too much, and also picking up a 3-second average, which cost him a podium too. And so the same with Fleddy too, which picked himself up a penalty and finished in P5, I think it was in the end of Grand Prix 2. So I've really enjoyed commentating for the third time this weekend. Third time in a row ever since the Australian Grand Prix. It's been an absolute roller coaster.
Yeah, once again, it's been very good to have you alongside. That race was bizarre in many ways, more than one certainly. We had that horrible incident heading out of last source on the fifth lap of the race, or maybe the fourth, I'm not quite sure. Then the rain suddenly coming to a very abrupt end, and strategies going out of the window in the last few laps, which created a spectacle rather unlike everything we've seen throughout this season. We've seen, hyper close DRS trains and last lap grandstand finishes here. Thanks to the rain and thanks to this very, very iconic and sometimes rather unusual circuit, we were provided with a race, I'd have to say, completely different to everything else we've seen this season, and to be honest, different from everything else we see in league racing on this game.
Yeah, indeed. I really enjoyed it as well. My third time here in LOE. So if I do come back in the next few races, though, I'll love to see what happens. And also the championship standings as well. I think the pendulum has gone towards Russell as he did gain more points in the sprint, carried over to the future too. So it's really close to the top of the timing sheets, championship standings between Russell and Verstappen. But Shallow Glow with that crash definitely puts him below there. I think Speedcar might gain a place too, albeit though he did stay out there on the inters and dropped himself out of the top 10. So I think Verstappen and Russell then is between those two for the championship, and we've still got plenty of races left to go as well. Or 4 races left to go, must be said.
Yes, 4 races left. We have now done 10, including 2 sprint rounds, so 12 races if you're being picky. So 4 more to go. The next one that we will be seeing will be coming to you from France. It's going to be Paul Ricard next up on the agenda, so we will see what action that circuit has to offer us next time out. Will we get more rain as we did today? We will see. But I think that is going to just about wrap up everything for the 10th round of the championship here at Spa. Jamie, once again, it's been a fantastic pleasure commentating alongside you, and some more great action to cover out there on circuit here tonight. But I think that is going to just about do it for the 10th round of the championship. So from myself and Jamie, it is goodbye for now, and until next time, we'll see you later.